You're listening to the Spark Your Light podcast, where my mission is to help you create a life that sparks the light inside of you. And this is episode 294, 3 Habits I'm Loving. This episode is exactly what it sounds like. It's for you if you are a habit queen and you love hearing about different habits that really work for people. And this is especially great if you're busy, because I am a mom and a business owner, and I balance a lot of different things, and these habits have been really great for me. So I think you're going to love them, especially if you're someone who's balancing a lot in your life right now. Keep listening. The first habit that I'm loving, and anyone who's been like in the world of, listening to self-help kinds of things for a number of years is going to love this one. The first habit that I am loving is a super simple morning routine. It just feels like a breath of fresh air to even say it, because how many times have you heard these long, multiple hour, many step morning routines that you're supposed to do in order to start your day right and manifest the things you want? And I just think it's unrealistic for a lot of people. And for me, I actually used to have a long morning routine, and it kind of felt like a drag. It always felt like I was like checking all these boxes, and there were times in my life where maybe I had more space and it was enjoyable, but I think a lot of the time it just felt like I had so much to do. And especially after becoming a mom, it just felt like I was always just squeezing so many things in. So I made my morning routine super, super simple. I make coffee. I write in my journal. I don't write many things. It doesn't take me a long time. I pretty much only write down my current goals, just rewrite them every day, keep them top of mind for me so that when I start my day and I plan my day, which is going to be the next thing I do, I have those goals top of mind. I think that's really important, because it's easy to just like let your future ideals get away from you and be so focused on what you have going on right now. And then you don't create time or space to work towards what you want. And then you kind of get stuck in this cycle of just being where you are. That's where a lot of people live. So I always try to put my future goals like top of mind. And then the second thing I write in my journal is exactly that. I plan my day. So intentions, actual agenda. Like I personally will break down what I'm going to do on my son's naps. I write down any other like intentions I have, anything else I want to do, any errands I need to run, or whatever it is. I write it all down. If I'm going to be cooking, although I started meal prepping, so I haven't been cooking during the week as much, which has been really freeing for me. I was very against it as an extremely creative person. I could go on a whole rant about that, but I won't. If you want to hear about that, let me know. Otherwise, I think that's a topic that's probably specific to a very few selective group of people, so I'm not going to go into it. But I did start meal prepping, so that's something. But let's say I hadn't meal prepped. Maybe what am I going to cook for dinner? Maybe I need to like take something out of the freezer. So all of those things, they kind of just go into like, it's just like a mental planning for the day. And I also set intention about how I want to feel. So, maybe it's a really busy day, and so I'll write down, my intention is to feel, inner peace despite the many moving parts or something like that. I might just write down an intention. Maybe I won't write down an intention. I don't always write down one every day. Kind of just depends what's going on, or if I'm feeling that I need one, I write it down essentially. So I do my journaling. Reading, I have been like hit or miss with, I'll be totally honest. I've been playing with it in the morning because I feel like, if it's important to you, you need to make time for it or it won't get done. And I do find that's true with reading books for me, unless I'm really inspired on the books. This is really interesting. Like right now, I'm reading a bunch of books about hope, because many of you know that I speak about hope, and I'm writing a book about hope. And I wanted to know essentially everything that's out there already, so I could just understand the scope of, if someone were to want to learn about hope, what would they be reading? And then I can figure out like what's missing and how I can kind of guide them or synthesize information in a different way, or just a way that I think is really going to land for my audience. So I'm really enjoying these books, getting a lot of different ideas, and So I don't really need to do it in my morning routine because like I actually plan for that during my day because that's part of my work right now. But it's not always. I'm not always like studying a book for work, but there are times where sometimes I am. So that's nice because I know I'm going to be reading. I won't do it in my morning. So reading is kind of like depending on the season of my life. So right now I'm not reading in the morning because I am reading significant amounts. Like I may dedicate, an entire nap to reading because I'm trying to get through this information so I can work on my book outline, so I can continue to improve my keynote, all these things. So that's hit or miss. But if I do reading in my morning routine, and I was about a month ago when I wasn't kind of in this zone, it's just 1 or 2 pages. Literally, it's going to take me a very long time to finish a book if that's my only source of reading, but at least I know I'm moving forward and I'm reading, and I read something that sparks me, so then I feel energized for the day. And I feed myself and I drink my coffee while it's hot. If you haven't heard that concept, it's something that my friend Jess sort of invented. She's a stress management coach and does a lot of education around taking time for yourself and how that's a big piece of stress and how we just don't take enough time for ourselves. And one of her things is, drink your coffee while it's hot, because how many times do people reheat their coffee? And I was so victim of this. So I used to reheat my coffee like 2 or 3 times every morning. And Richie would be like laughing in the other room because he would hear the microwave like on and on and on. But I stopped doing that. I also stopped using my microwave 80% of the time. So it's pretty good. I'm really enjoying just heating food on the stove. It's not so bad, actually. And I feel just like, I don't know, I feel good not using the microwave. I don't know. Richie loves the microwave and continues to use it. Although if he's listening, he will say he uses it less because I've influenced him, which I'm glad I'm a positive influence on him. But I really focus on enjoying my coffee while it's actually hot after I learned from Jess. And I interviewed her on this podcast. If you haven't heard that episode, I'll make sure we link it in the show notes. I think she's been on the podcast twice, but the most recent one, we talked about drink the coffee while it's hot because it's a big thing for me in my life. And it's really helped me. So just simple things like that help you remember. I think that's what it is. It's so simple. It's just a phrase kind of sticks in your mind. It's good. It's really good. I love that. So that's pretty much my morning routine. It's simple. It's easy. It probably takes me, I'm really slow in the morning. So let's preface this. Like I just do everything slow. I'm also just slow all the time. You might not know this about me because I'm very driven and I'm very go, go, go. So you may picture me as like a fast paced person. And I totally am when I'm like on a mission or when I'm working. But actually, like if Richie or my mom is over or if I'm at like my mom's house and I'm doing dishes, a lot of times they will step in for me because they just don't want to wait for how long it takes me, because I just like wash each pot and, just take my good old time. That's just kind of my speed sometimes. I don't know. It feels very innate to who I am. And that's why I don't like rushing, I think. I don't like rushing. It's just not a feeling that I like to have. So that's why I've been working on being on time for things, because, when you're running late, then you're rushing and it's a whole thing. But getting back to the morning routine, I'm slow. So I take a while to like make my coffee, and the pour over coffee, which I make now, takes longer than the Keurig did. So, maybe the whole routine, the journaling and all, I could do it in anywhere from 15 minutes probably fastest to, unlimited, because I could sit there and journal and then I could, come up with an idea of something I want to start working on, and I'll kind of just flow into work usually in my morning routine. But that's it. It's so simple. It's so short, and I don't feel any pressure or stress, and I don't do it on the weekends. I've been really intentionally taking time off on the weekends. I read the book Essentialism. I've talked about it a couple times here. Loved it. Thought it was a great book. Again, if you're busy, it's just a really good read for how can you strip down all of the things that are not the main thing. It's very easy to get distracted. And it's honestly a reminder I need like once a month, because it's like I'm on the main thing. I'm asking myself about the main thing, and then I just slips my mind and I'm on this and that and this, and then I'm back. I'm like, no, you got to focus. So Essentialism had a lot of really great concepts. And one of the concepts was, don't do anything today that you can't recover from by tomorrow. And the author told this story of a team of explorers, and they were on this, expedition that had never been done before. And I don't remember the exact geography of where they were going, but it was a certain number of miles per day that the one group decided that they were going to do. So they were going to do like X miles per day, no matter what, rain, shine. So on days where the weather wasn't great, that was really difficult. On days where the weather was beautiful, they could have done 3 times that amount, but they never did like 1 more mile above that amount. There was another group that did the opposite. They decided that they were going to go as far as they could every day, no matter what. And if it was a day where it was really difficult, maybe they went less. If it was a day where it was really great weather, they went further. It turns out that entire group actually died and didn't finish the expedition, which is very tragic. The group that had the set number of miles every day, they finished the expedition. And I think that there's a really great message in that with rest and not overdoing things. And my personality is an overdoer. I don't know if it's like a type A thing, but I for sure go 5,000% and then burn out. I do 5,000% for like a month and I'm like, I am doing this to the crazy extreme. I'm going to be just like Michael Jordan. I get like so inspired by people and I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, oh man, like I'm so tired. Like I've been up every Saturday morning at 5 a.m. and like every Friday night, Richie wants to watch a movie with me. And I'm like, but I have to go to bed. Like it just, it's not healthy for me. So I've decided that on the weekends, I don't have to get up at a certain time other than my alarm clock of my baby. I don't have to do a certain morning routine. So that's been really huge too. So overall, my message with the morning routine habit is just make it freeing, make it fun, make it light, make it easy, and make it something that adds value to your day and supports your day versus adds stress. And I think in the past, sometimes due to this whole self-help culture that it's just so easy to get swept away in. And look, I love self-help. I think the messages are amazing and can be so helpful. That is what they're intended for. But sometimes they can be taken too far. And I think that this is one of the things that I personally took too far at times. And so that's why I'm sharing it with you in hopes that if you're someone who maybe has either just felt overwhelmed by this concept of a morning routine or maybe has a morning routine that feels a little bit too complicated, this is a really great shift. So that's habit number 1. The second habit that I am loving right now is making time for my personal goals and scheduling it in my schedule. So it reminds me of the concept of a budget. For a long time, I was very hesitant to have a budget. I did not like the idea of it. I would run from it. I just felt like it was clamping my style. You know what I mean? Like, but what if I want to get myself a coffee and it's not in my budget? And I just didn't like that feeling until I heard somewhere, it may have been Ramit Sethi, I really like his concepts on money, that a budget can be freedom because it can give you freedom to spend. Because oftentimes people feel like, should I buy this coffee? Should I not? And if you know, okay, I have given myself $50 a month to buy coffees whenever I want them, then you know this is in my budget and I can have this guilt-free and I know I can afford it and I know I'm still meeting my other goals, whatever it is, your personal budget. And so I love that. I really have latched onto that. I have a budget. I am the budget. I don't know what you would call it. I am like the budget, sort of like disciplinarian of the household. Which is so funny because I never thought I would be that person again, because I was like and Richie was way more like, I remember I had my first job at QVC. It was like an internship in college and I got my first paycheck. I think I was $800, probably for 2 weeks. And I said to Richie, like, I got paid $800. I'm going to Target. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's so great. It's the most money I've ever had in my entire life. And he's like, you're supposed to save some of your paycheck. I'm like, okay, a little bit. So I think I saved 10% because I was like, I'll save. But it's so funny how not that the roles have reversed, because I wouldn't say that Richie is go into Target with this paycheck, but I really have become loving of the budget. And the same exact concept applies here to budgeting time for your personal goals. So we all have personal goals that we probably feel like we don't have time for. I mean, every single person I talk to, I feel confident that they would agree that there is something in their life that they would like to have more time for. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's cleaning out your closets. Maybe it's baking. We all have different things we're interested in. So I want you to think about, like, what are your personal goals? And if you had more time, what would be some of the things you'd be doing with your time? So for me, my biggest personal goal that I feel like doesn't kind of fit into my routine is like our house. So like the basics fit in, like doing the dishes, mopping, things like that. But I'm really into organization, and I like to reorganize things that are not organized. And they're basically, the entire house needs to be reorganized. And I'm really into like decorating, interior design, you could call it, I guess, although I'm not very good at it, but I'm into Pinterest. And if you look at my Pinterest, you could see like different ideas. And it's like little things. Like I maybe want to look for like a certain, I'm making this up, but like a certain vase that I think would look good on our fireplace. And it's just like taking the time to like, does Amazon sell something like that? Should I peruse Home Goods, right? And it's like, oh, I don't have time for that. I'm trying to run my business and take care of my baby, right? So I'm sure you can relate. Maybe you don't have the same personal goal. Maybe you want time to read more, or you want time to work on a side business, or whatever it is. But when we set aside blocks of time that we're going to work on those things, all of a sudden we feel free, because we know that we don't have to squeeze it in between X and Y, because we know at 3 p.m. today for 30 minutes, we have time for that and we've blocked it in. So that's what I've been doing. And it's been really lovely. I've been just taking a little bit of time every week. It's not a ton, but a little bit of time every week just to say, you know what, on Michael's nap today, I'm going to reorganize this one cabinet. And I am like so happy with that. It's so funny how like such a silly thing can really bring me a lot of joy, but it really does, because I love opening my cabinet and it's organized and I can find the things I want and it's not crowded or cluttered. And I just love that. So the fact that I now don't have to feel stressed of when am I going to fit that in, but that I know, okay, I'm going to take some time every week for that. And I've kind of scheduled that. That has been huge for me. And then the third thing, which really this all relates to time, the morning routine, that one, and then this third one is very related, is super short workouts. So I went through a phase where I felt like my workouts should be longer. I felt like, you know what? It's important that I prioritize my health and that I, do these longer workouts. And then I just wasn't doing them. Other than walking. I love walking. I'm good at walking. I like to chit chat with my friends. So I will like walk on the treadmill while I talk. I take Michael for walks. Richie and I walk a lot. I walk. That's the one thing I can say that I do. But all the other things were just like slipping away. And I started to feel just off, a little weak. Like my body was just I didn't feel strong and I didn't feel good. And, in the past, I had better routines before I had a baby. And I have always really enjoyed doing short workouts. But I guess this voice inside my head told me it wasn't enough or something. But it's better than nothing, right? And so I just gave myself permission to do that again. So a lot of times I'll do a 10-minute workout. So none of this is sponsored for the podcast, but these are things that I personally use that might be helpful. One of them is the Peloton app where you can like do workouts on there. So I'll do like mostly body weight workouts on there that I really like. There's also some with weights. And you can pick like a body part or target. So like I'll do like 10-minute abs. And oh my gosh, 10-minute abs, like you don't really get many breaks in the 10 minutes. So hard. I was so sore the next day and I felt great and I felt so proud of myself, and it only took me 10 minutes. And something big for me has been like Michael naps twice a day at his age currently. And I have my time in the morning and obviously like after he goes to sleep. but it's like limited windows of time, right? And I'm mostly taking care of him myself majority of the time. I mean, obviously Richie helps when he's finished work, but meaning I don't have a lot of like childcare. So I'm running my business on naps or in the morning or after bed. And then I'm also trying to fit in all my personal stuff that I want to do. So it's just tight on time. And that's a choice I make, right? Because I want to be home with him and I'm really happy with that choice. But I would sometimes feel really just like frustrated when the only thing I did the entire nap was work out. And I mean, that's an amazing thing. And if I didn't have a business, I think that would really work well. Like, okay, I took care of myself. That's great. And I'm sure that there are moms listening who don't have a business in addition to being mom, and they probably still feel that way because they have a list of 10 other things that they want to do with, taking care of their house and cooking. And I mean, there's just so many things, right? So probably a lot of people can relate to that feeling. But, that's a story I was telling myself probably. Regardless, it just didn't feel good. Like, okay, I did the workout, I took a shower, and then he's crying. And I'm like, oh, I had like 3 other things I also wanted to do. And it's not just about doing more, right? But it's just a busy season in my life, and it's a limited, short-lived season that I'm choosing to spend this way. And I don't mind, and I really enjoy that 10-minute workout. And sometimes it's longer. When I do the Peloton on the bike, it's like 20 minutes is probably the shortest I'll do on the actual bike. Sometimes I'll do yoga. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. I really like the Yoga Studio app. I've actually been using this app for 8 years. I think I first started in 2018. At the time, I was taking nutrition classes because I thought I was going to go back to school to become a nutritionist. I didn't have any of the prereqs. So I was going to get a master's, but I didn't have any of the prereqs. So I needed to go back to school and take science classes and nutrition classes. And so I had a pretty busy school schedule, and I would do 10-minute yoga in the morning before I went to my classes. And I loved it. And I felt so good. And, I still do their 10-minute yoga. I love it. So just little things that have really made a difference for me. And I just feel so much better when I move my body. And I think the thing with starting small, and this is a good tip for any goal, if you start with something that doesn't feel so intimidating, you can say yes to it. So it's like when I'm tired at 3 p.m. and I put Michael down for a nap, the thought of doing a 30-minute full body sweaty workout, I'm just like, I don't want to do it. I'm tired. I don't have the energy. But can I do 10 minutes? And usually the answer is, I can. I might not be up for 30 minutes, but I am up for 10. And I think it's just ditching the all or nothing mentality and knowing that something is better than nothing. And like I said, this can apply to working out or really any habit you're trying to implement. It can apply to reading. So you might want to read a chapter a day, but isn't reading 3 pages better than no pages? And I think it's so hard to break that all or nothing mindset because it's so wired into our brains, but it really makes a huge, huge difference. So I hope you try it, especially on a day you're busy and that it just feels right. And that's all I got for you. Those are the 3 habits that have really been sparking my light and helping me and making me feel good. And I hope that you are able to take what applies to you, maybe pick up one of the habits, maybe think about that concept behind the habit, especially with the time management things, and apply it to a different habit that you're working on or that maybe you've been struggling with, however it works for you in your life. Thanks so much for tuning into today's episode, and I will catch you next week.